Hello everyone, welcome back to Doomlink's Live Hunts. We are indeed in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. I intended to record Monster Hunter yesterday, I could not, and so I did Breath of the Wild instead. That ended up being 2 consecutive Breath of the Wild recordings, which may displease some and delight others. And by delight others I mean precisely 2 people. Now, the recording that I'm about to do will be slightly uncomfortable, and there's only one reason why. It's because I have ended up connecting my Wii U Pro controller. And there's a long story associated with this. To give it in a bite-sized simplification, my old controller sucked, I got a new one, my new one sucks, so now I'm using this. And yeah, I actually can possibly handle using a controller like this because it is effectively a symmetrical controller. It's just that the analog sticks are above the D-pad and the, I don't really know what you would call them, the action buttons I suppose, rather than beneath them. I actually put some thought into why I was so used to the DualShock 3 layout when it came to controllers. It wasn't just that my first proper introduction to 3D gaming was on the PlayStation 3. I was very much a retro gamer before then. It was also that not long after, I was putting so much time on the Wii with the Classic Controller / Classic Controller Pro, and I realized that the controller layout is the same for both of them. So the most amount of time that I spent in what I would say the first decade of gaming on a 3D controller, or a controller that was intended to be used with 3D games, was essentially with that button layout. And I've just become very, very used to it. Now, this is going to be slightly different to what I'm used to, and I do expect that it will be uncomfortable, at least for a short while. Just to make it very clear, I do not use this controller when playing Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. I use the Classic Controller Pro with a Wiimote connected to my Wii U. An original Nintendo Wii Wiimote. So, it might be a little strange, at first, but maybe it's will be something that I get used to fairly quickly. One can only hope. I'll get my chat up, and then we will probably make a start. Yesterday, when I was intending on recording Monster Hunter, I did initially try to come onto 3 Ultimate and record that. There were actually, I think, 7 people playing at the time, which was lovely. There was one full room, and another room with, 1 space left. Regrettably, that room was a passworded room, which left me absolutely incandescent, because what are you doing when there are hardly any people playing, preventing people within the community from hunting with you? They were hunting in G rank. They weren't trying to prevent themselves from being, or prevent others rather, from boosting them at low rank or high rank. They were in fucking G rank. And yet, they have the temerity to prevent people from playing. They were literally the first room in the first lobby of the first world of the first fucking server on the entire game. And they're like, let's put a password on it so that only we can play. Fuck the community. I mean, these are people who hold the community of 3 Ultimate in contempt to an extent that not even I can compare to, because at least I don't, prevent people from playing with me. I might think that the community's a bit fucked up and, at best, slightly retarded, and at worst, just irredeemably pathetic, but, I don't exclude people from the rooms that I hunt in. Except for when they cheat, because I have actually done that. On camera, I have definitely excluded people from rooms that I could exclude people from if I knew them to be cheaters. It's definitely happened, but, I just can't stand it when people make passworded rooms in a community where there are so few hunters. Stop reducing the number of options for people in the community. It's unfair. If you're going to do it, then please do it where we can't see it. Do it where we don't feel like it's an option that's just been taken away from us unfairly. Out of sight, out of mind. And another phrase which relates to that is, that which one does not know does not hurt them. So, there you go. We have a few rooms to choose from. This one probably is actually available, even though it says there are 4 people. Transmitting data. I've decided that I'm actually going to have some whiskey today. I'm excited. I'm not going to have a lot of whiskey because some of you will recall a time in my live streams and in my recordings in general when I would bring all of these lovely whiskies on camera and all these expensive boutique Belgian beers, and it was just an absolute, pleasure for myself and ideally for any fan of alcohol watching, but the sad reality is that those days are sort of over because I have a lot of expenses in my life right now, and I can't really spend that much money on alcohol. It's just not something that I can do anymore, but I do on occasion splash out on a nice whiskey, and this one isn't even that nice, it's just Lafroig, but it's nice, it's a nice whiskey, and so yes, it is a green bottle, but I'm using a green screen, that's how that works. So it's probably not going to look very green. I'm going to have a little bit of Lafroig, and it's going to be probably a decent amount, and then I'm just going to leave it at that. Just one pour, in other words. I'm trying to savor it. You know, I used to go through one of these in maybe 3 or 4 days, but shit's expensive now. Comparative to my expenses, so there you are. I do want to actually make a selection quickly. I'm going to choose this and then get straight to it. I didn't actually internalize what was on the board. Not at all. It's apparently Chameleos. I don't mind using this loadout with Chameleos. It doesn't bother me, it's just... it's not going to be an issue. He is an Elder Dragon that does not require maximum team damage in order to kill him in short order. Okay. I don't even think I can sit back, relax, and pour a beverage. I have to essentially get ready at once. Otherwise, these people are going to get a little restless. More than a little restless. Ugh. I mean, that wasn't a great sound. I mean, I wouldn't sample that. I wouldn't use that for Foley. It's... but the sound of popping a cork, or at least, well, that's not popping a cork, it's just opening a corked bottle. That sound is not a sound that accompanies my recordings these days, and it makes me sad. But that's alright. Yeah, that's probably about 3 shots. 2.5 perhaps, something like that. I remember my grandfather saying, when we were drinking really nice whiskey in the Isle of Man, that you should never pour more than a single shot in a whiskey glass, because otherwise it almost suffocates the spirit. It needs to breathe, and it will taste better when you haven't poured quite as much of it. Not sure if that's true. Could always be superstitious and unsubstantiated folklore, but to be honest, for convenience sake, I've never really done that. I've always kept to about a double shot for every pour. Roughly that. You always estimate, don't you? You never actually measure it. Why would you do such a thing? The beautiful taste of peat. You just dump it in. No. No. That's not the way to do it. It entirely depends on the glass that you have. But perhaps not even. Because when I drink rum out of a tumbler, I definitely pour something between 2 and 3 shots. I don't just fucking load the glass up, no matter how much I intend to. So that was very interesting. Let me finish that thought. No matter how much I intend to drink, I always measure it out in small amounts. Now, very interestingly, just moving my thumb over to the X button to begin my charge, because I'm so unfamiliar with this particular button layout on my controller, it ended up my thumb slid on my right analog stick and ended up moving my camera in a way that I wasn't intending. It wasn't really that big of a deal, but yeah, this is something I can get used to pretty quickly because it's still that so-called symmetrical controller button layout, so I'd say it's okay. Now, if the Switch Pro controller is the same, then I'm happy to use that at some point in the future. I'll buy a Switch Pro controller, it's fine. But if it ends up being an asymmetrical controller button layout with diagonal analog sticks, I'm not interested. I'm not going to buy it. I really don't want to deal with it. Sadly, did end up getting poisoned. Of course I could have avoided the poison, it's more that I didn't consider it to be much of a threat that I allowed it to hit me. That's the situation. Oh, fuck off. I don't think I've been hit this much by a Chameleos in recent memory. I was so worried about my speakers being too loud that I ended up lowering the volume to the point where I couldn't even hear the games, so I will have to increase that. Oh, the convenience of just having a fucking remote to change the volume on a television. I don't want to explain why I don't have that functionality right now, but yeah, suffice it to say that I don't have that functionality. I'm surprised that he's leaving already. What's that about? Alright. Strange direction to go into. Probably quite normal for a Chameleos, but strange for a monster in the forest and hills. Straight down to Area 2. After having already been in confrontation with the team. I may as well aim for the tail. I'm sure that it won't be difficult to cut. Now, the tail HP of a Chameleos is much higher than almost any part of a monster that can be severed. That's as of 4th generation, so 4 Ultimate. Well, probably 4, I'm sure Chameleos was in 4. But, yeah, it's a very high percentage of the total health of the monster. In other words. I don't think that flash bomb was very helpful. What it assisted in doing was blinding me and possibly confusing the team. And maybe even misinforming the team as to the possible effectiveness of a flash bomb against a Chameleos. I don't think it's helpful at all to throw one. But because they saw you throw one, they might try it, and then we're going to be looking at more teams of hunters being blinded for no fucking reason. Anyway. I suppose there's nothing wrong with trying. It's the people who don't... It's the people who don't learn that are the problem. Couldn't even finish the thought before he threw another one. In some kind of inane attempt to keep the monster in place or confuse the monster. Oh, a little bit off target though. Managed to get the level 3 charge on the head, however. That was very good. Trying to get Moonbreaker off here. Very good. Almost like a decapitating motion there, based on the positioning of it. Alright. You never know, it could be a big Elder Dragon jewel. Large Elder Dragon... How does it... I can never remember the naming anymore. I used to remember it, now I don't. I just mix and match big and large and jewel and gem to create all sorts of new words and phrases. Okay, it seems that we are engaging the monster over here. We are certainly not. And what exactly am I doing? I mean, I'm following a guy who clearly doesn't know how to navigate the forest and hills because he's running around with his heavy bowgun. So, if you're wondering how those two things are connected, stop wondering. The answer is already there, you just need to find it. It's as close as your nose is to your eyes, quite frankly. But perhaps not in a physical sense. Oh dear. That's, I suppose, an opportunity to go for the tail, but... I would have preferred to use something elemental, I really would have, but... Again, I didn't internalize what monster was... Oh, great. We've had what I assume to be a disconnect. It is what it is. So I've never seen that combo, or at least I don't remember that combo existing, where he slams his tail down twice and then does a slight advance attack. That's weird. It's probably fairly well known, but definitely new to 4th generation and not the sort of attack that I would have... Not an attack that I would have thought of. Thank you for that. I mean, for Christ's sake, man. I get it. We're in a game where upswinging a teammate is not as big of a deal as it was in the past. But I was just charging my greatsword and you completely cancelled that out. Some kind of expression of contrition would be nice. Instead of just mindless slamming of the monster with your stupid Atulkar hammer. I would be too embarrassed to even equip an Atulkar weapon, and then here you are, swinging it around like you're the main damage dealer. Doesn't matter if I send this guy flying in the air, who cares? I'm the hammer guy, get out of my way. My head. Anyway. I'll try to use Brimstone Slash as a counter maneuver. Which does obviously require the right timing. I don't have any audio prompts because I can't hear the fucking game, so... makes it slightly harder. Let's just hope that lag compensation dealt the damage. That looked pretty bad, but you never know. It may have actually hit. One can only hope. I will use Psycho Serum. Just for my own peace of mind. I don't particularly like the stealth ability of Chameleos. It was interesting in 2nd generation. Although, my first experience with the stealth of Chameleos was in 2nd generation trying to find him in the forest and hills the first time I tried to find him. I couldn't find him anywhere. He was hiding himself, and he was totally invisible, could not be found, and I just gave up. I was like, well, what's the point? When I saw the name of the monster, I realized, okay, he's going to be camouflaged. And then I looked through the whole forest and hills, couldn't find him. Yes, I could have maybe waved at the... I think I even waved at the balloon, and it still wasn't clear to me. To be honest, it was so long ago that I don't clearly remember the scenario. It could have been a mixture of my stupidity and the unforgiving nature of a 2nd generation Chameleos and his camouflage, but yeah, it was annoying. I didn't appreciate that aspect of it, but it was interesting at least. Here I don't care for it. I don't care for it at all. Because I don't think it's effectively used to make him a difficult fight. It's more like a visual... I don't even want to call it an aesthetic. It's more like a gimmick associated with the monster that really only serves to make it different from the other monsters, but like I say, it's not used in a very good way to make him hard to fight. It's not a challenge that he turns himself invisible. He's fairly easy to track despite it. Yeah, I can imagine that there would have been a lot of people asking to find him. I didn't even check the forums at the time. I gave up. I was like, no. Not interested. Because I understood immediately from the name of the monster that he was going to be camouflaged in some way, but as soon as I struggled that much to find him, must have spent 15 minutes trying to find him, and there was just no sign of him whatsoever. And this is in a game where tracking monsters is generally pretty difficult, and I'd become used to that. But Chameleos was just a different story. Ugh. I haven't actually used Brimstone Slash. There may have been opportunities arising for me to use it. It's just that I forgot that I had it ready and waiting. And we're going back this way again. I had best ping Mr. Weed Fee 420. What's fee? I get the weed and the 420 part, but the fee part? Not sure about that. Maybe it was meant to be Weed Feed, which would be a kind of funny name, I guess. Not particularly clever, but perhaps mildly funny. Weed Fee, however, I don't know. Maybe he's referring to the fact that the fee for either purchasing or perhaps consuming the weed is $4.20, $420, I don't know. Maybe he means fee in that sort of sense. As in cost. Probably took him many sleepless nights to come up with that name for himself. I'm sure he'll really enjoy it in 10 years' time when he comes back to the game and then cringes deeply. But, anyway. Stoner name. Yes, I suppose so. Doesn't really mean anything anymore now, does it? Weed's fairly well accepted. Yeah, I'm not going to explain how I feel about weed smokers. Some may find themselves mildly offended. There's just been a lot of foolish rhetoric surrounding the attempted normalization of weed smoking that has found its way into pop culture, and quite frankly, it's pathetic, and yeah, I don't think it's something to glorify, or even to normalize, to be honest. Are you? Radio. There was a time when at least 50% of my audience were pot smokers. And you do indeed come from that time, so I'm not surprised at all. Well, to have attracted so many of them doesn't surprise me, because I can't imagine that when you're totally blazed out of your mind that you're going to become either engaged or in any way taken with someone screaming at the top of their lungs into their microphone and getting real excited for the kids, you know. That's the way I interpret people who do commentaries like that. It's real exciting for the kids, fun for the family. Fuck off. Why does the whole neighborhood have to hear what you think about the current state of the video game you're playing right now? Well, if it's pain relief, then that's fair. Medicinal is different to recreational. But I don't want to make much of a conversation out of it anyway. Oh. I was expecting 2 Camellios gems, but getting a large Elder Dragon gem is nice too. That is my 6th. Or as the English would say, the 6th Elder Dragon gem that I have. So, sorry guys, it's 6th. Because the X and its pronunciation is not negated on account of the TH existing. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, maybe it is, but I don't know. I generally respect the English and how they pronounce things because, you know, English is the language of England, but 6th? Sounds like you've got a lisp or some kind of speech impediment when you do that. Anyway, I've never understood that. It's 6th. Takes a little more effort to say, but you don't actually sound like you have a speech impediment when you say it. Sometimes a little bit of effort goes a long way. I don't know how you managed to get 99 large Elder Dragon gems, but congratulations, I suppose. You must have fought a lot of Elder Dragons, because... yeah. I mean, I'm hunter rank 900 and 999, and I've... yeah, you must not have used them. You must have acquired a lot that you just didn't use. Because I've used a lot. I may only have 7, but I've probably used double that in this game thus far. Yeah, well, burnout is definitely a problem with any video game, but particularly Monster Hunter in my opinion. We have a hunter rank 10 who, oh, I thought he was going to launch himself at the quest giver. In my opinion, he is the person who... well, no, actually. I don't think that he is that much in need. Let me rephrase that. I don't believe that Saber needs to post a whole lot more than any of these other people, because, quite frankly, hunter rank 75 and 87 are not high hunter ranks at all in this game, based on how quickly it is to HR up, so... would I prioritize Saber? Yes, but if it's a turns scenario, there is no scope for prioritization, if that makes sense. It's just going to go in descending order. At least I think so. Who was hosting the last one? Because if it was Mr. Weedman, Mr. 420 Blazers, then, you know, I don't particularly... well, isn't it a turns room? What's going on? No, it's recruiting, so he's not committing to taking turns at all. Which bothers me, because we've got an HR10 here. I would like for him to be able to post quests that he needs. Whether it be quests to improve his loadout, or quests to improve, well not improve, but rather progress through his hunter ranks. I almost tried, or rather, I tried playing Rise yesterday since it released on PlayStation, and I almost puked playing it. Yeah, it is sensory overload, isn't it? They've basically compensated for the lack of substance with making things extremely, whoa, ultra anime in a visual sense. Perhaps not in a gameplay sense. Definitely to some extent in a gameplay sense, but there's just so much going on. So much going on. Hello, zombie virus. Choose any quest you like, says Dragon X. Well, what do you mean? Shocking that I'm not hunting with you people. Zombie, if you'd like to play, then let me know. I'm going to see what rooms are around. EX with Nick. HR minimum 200. Okay. Turns with Summy doing Teostra at the moment with an HR minimum of 50. That's respectable. I'd say 50 is a good HR minimum to set for any room that you make, to be honest. Ooh, I didn't actually intend to join that. I ended up pressing A twice because it's quite easy to press the A button on this controller. Let me just see what's going on in this room. I'm not... there's nothing going on in this room. This guy's departed on his own, even though he's made a room. Like, why depart on your own if you've made a room? I'm going to stand here for about 60 seconds. Okay. He was probably just cycling his food or something like that, or perhaps even his quests. Some of you may think it foolish of me to jump to the conclusion that he departed on a quest to literally then complete by himself, even though he'd made a room, because that's such a far-fetched scenario. I mean, why would a person do that? But I've seen it more than once while recording, like hand on heart. Not all of you have been around to see every recording I've ever done, but I can assure you, at least on 2 occasions, I have actually captured footage of people making rooms and then departing on a quest on their own and then, like, not coming back when I come into the room. And I can wait for as long as 3 to 5 minutes. So. Anyway, I'm just confirming whether or not this is a room worth joining. So far, this person hasn't given me a reason to believe that they're even worth playing with, because they haven't done anything. They've returned from a quest and then have been in no rush to do anything, so... yeah. Hello. Do you have something that you would like to do? I don't think I've ever seen someone use the full Grand Toka. I've only ever seen people use it for mixed sets, myself included. Yeah, I'm not so much a fan of doing deviants. If you've got any in G rank, I'm happy to do them, but otherwise, nope. In that case, it's up to you. You can play by yourself and get that done if you would prefer. Oh god. He saw my greatsword and was like, I need that. It's alright. The room filled up anyway, and I don't want to do that quest, so let's look for another room. Ideally, I'd like for there to be space for zombie virus to join. Help Fullman G5? Who's Fullman? I'm guessing that's German. Because FUL, I do associate with electricity. In what language, I don't know, but I suppose it's German. I was expecting it to be Zenoga or something like that. Because, you know, Zenoga drops Fulgur bugs, for example. So, Fullman is apparently Bolt Reaver. So, yeah. I'm not going to do that, but I just thought I would draw attention to the fact that I was able to work out what Fullman even meant. Skylar is doing specifically Savage Devil Joe. What? Surely he didn't intend for that. He's made a room where only Hunter Rank 999 people can join. Is this guy for real? It must have been a mistake. Should I join him? On the off chance that he did that intentionally, I don't want to encourage that sort of behavior. And most of you would say, well, as if he did that intentionally, but you you can never give people the benefit of the doubt in this community. I've spent years doing that, and almost every fucking time I get burned. Because people are genuinely that fucking stupid. You think that people aren't that stupid, but this is a hotbed of unfettered retardation. That's just what this community is. So I don't want to hear it, okay? I'm not giving anyone the benefit of any doubt. There are no benefits to be given for any doubts. Not anymore. He is HR 113, but that doesn't mean that he can't set an HR minimum above his own HR. That's the weird thing about it. I've seen it before. People actually setting an HR minimum above their own hunter rank. It used to be fairly common back when this community was bigger, and it was pretty sad. I would never join rooms like that because I always felt that it almost came across as a form of begging to be unwilling to hunt with people of your own level and to only allow people stronger than you, almost guaranteed to be stronger than you, to come and hunt. Just ridiculous. I don't really know what to do. I suppose I'll make a room of my own. G rank. With an HR 13 minimum, which is entirely appropriate. But yeah, there's probably a 50-50 chance of that being a mistake, but if it was intentional, I don't want to be one of those HR 999s actually coming in and helping him. Because that's sad. And Zombie is running the absolute ruiner sword, which I'm so used to being a dragon sword and shield, but yeah, it is a blast in this game. Ching, I think. Q is a CH sound, right? I don't fucking know. It probably is. Ching. Enter the hub. You're not allowed to say Ching in the US version of 3 Ultimate, by the way. In case anyone wanted to know, this is just a little tidbit which I came to realize by playing with people who had the North American version of 3 Ultimate. Whenever you would type Ching, C-H-I-N-G, it would actually censor it. Apparently, see, I didn't realize Ching was a slur, but apparently it is. Pretty sure it's just a fucking Chinese name / word. I mean, I don't really get what's offensive about that. I mean, I get that maybe Ching Chong as a phrase might be insensitive. In fact, it's definitely insensitive. But just Ching on its own, like, there's nothing wrong with Ching, but yeah, it used to be a long-running joke with the friends that I used to play with. You know, we would just say, you can't say Ching online. Well, did he, Well, hold on, I'm not sure how to feel about that, Zombie. If you were already at the quest giver, posting your own quest, I don't think it's appropriate for this guy to just turn up and go and post his own thing. Unless you quite visibly stepped away from it to give him the chance. But if you were both standing there and then you just relented because he's a lower hunter rank, I don't think that makes you the more gracious person. I think that's I think it's unfair to reward that sort of behavior. But, well, not unfair, but unwise, rather, to reward that sort of behavior. It's not first come, first serve. It's order of joining the room, and you can deal with it. That's the way I see it. In the spirit of my return to Breath of the Wild, not because this looks like Breath of the Wild Link, but because it's technically Zelda related. What is this guy doing? What's he doing? We didn't join up on his quest immediately, so he's looking for greener pastures already. These are the people you're trying to accommodate, zombie. Be very careful with what you do. You are not being gracious by giving people in this community an opportunity just because they're a lower hunter rank. Take your chance to post something, even if it's for personal pleasure and not to improve your character, because you are helping just absolute bottom of the barrel garbage. Don't bother with them, please. Just don't bother. It essentially relates to what I said before about giving people the benefit of the doubt in this community. It's the same thing. Just don't. Don't assume that they're worth helping. Don't assume that... Just forget it. The last person I tried to help in this game departed without me. Let me tell you the scenario, because it doesn't actually exist on YouTube. I joined a room with a guy who was alone, where the Lao Shan Lung posted. It was his urgent quest. I joined the room to help him because I was able to identify the fact that he needed to do it as his urgent quest, and I was aware that in this community, because it's such a terrible community, people refuse to do Lao Shan Lung. If you look at first and second generation, people will not hesitate to do Lao Shan Lung, even if they've done it endlessly, because there is a community spirit where people want to help each other. And it's okay. Yeah, it's a boring hunt, but they want to be helpful. There is absolutely nothing like that in this community. There is no sense of community spirit, no willingness to help. It's just pure self-indulgent pursuit of entertainment and nothing more. And so people who actually get these urgent quests to do, well, I say urgent quests to refer to multiple people with the same urgent, which happens to be Lao Shan Lung, they really, really struggle to actually get someone to help them to hunt the thing that they must hunt. Not the thing that they want to hunt, or that it might be convenient for them to hunt. To hunt the thing that allows them to progress through the fucking game. And so I joined the room knowing that he would struggle to get help. And, you know, 2 minutes passed and then another person of the same hunter rank joined, which was pretty lucky. What are the chances of that? I think the HR is 10 or something. And he joined up on that quest. And then I think 2 more minutes passed and I was then basically ready to go. I had changed my equipment. My weapon type had changed. If the guy was watching that, he would have seen that I wasn't just fucking around and perhaps not wanting to join the quest. No, I was definitely getting ready. And I even said hi to the person who had joined, that second HR10 person. And so there were 2 reasons to believe that I was here and willing to hunt. The first was that my weapon type was changing, like my armor set was changing. Clearly I was getting ready. And then second of all, I was communicative. And yet, once I got back to the prep area, or I suppose the tavern, I was in the prep area and then I came into the tavern, they had departed with 2 people without me. I'm hunter rank 999. And under those circumstances, I still have people in this community who need help with a quest that no one wants to do. Even under those circumstances, these people depart without me. This community is essentially filled with the lowest common denominator of human intellect on planet Earth. Like, it is literally horrendous. No words can describe it better than how I have now. Well, perhaps you could describe it better, but that is an accurate description of what we're dealing with. I mean, it is a community of people that you would be throwing emotion, effort, and concern into a void if you were to help them with any real desire to be helpful, or to assist, or to even contribute to bettering the community. There is nothing to improve. The community is dead. It is a fucking... I mean, it's not even moribund. It is actually past its time. It's over. It's dead. It is literally a corpse walking, and it's really, really sad. So, I was actually hoping that during that rant we would have another person join, but that has not happened. So I will probably equip a better loadout and we'll just two-man. It is Valstrax, he's easy to kill, but this is not a great sword and shield, so I'll get something a little more appropriate. Let me... Well, I want something that's actually fairly mobile. So I may still go with sword and shield. I'm going to use my strongest elemental sword and shield that's not dragon-based. For obvious reasons. Let's compare to the Axar. You know what? Do I want to do that? Unfortunately, the time that I'm taking to get ready has allowed us to get another hunter. I'm going to use the Icy Axar. We've got Olari, which is nice. He is hunter rank 766. A decent teammate. But yeah, when I say the community of Generations Ultimate is dead, I'm not talking about activity. A community can be dead, yet still functioning. You know, you can call it a zombie community at that point. Basically, there's nothing of any redeeming value in the community. Just nothing at all. But you're still hunting with people, but practically it would be better to hunt with NPCs. Because at least NPCs would be good sports. You're instead hunting with people who might flake on you, might depart without you, might disconnect, you know, all of these different things. It would actually be a better experience at this point, given how low the quality of communication, how low the level of interaction is with the people that you hunt with, to actually play with NPCs. So... yeah, that's the situation. Unfortunately, we did get a fourth person, but they joined after we departed, and there is absolutely no culture of departing, or rather returning from quests for people, because if you start doing that, you will be returning to an empty room, or rather, returning to a room where the person has already left said room, because nobody does that, so there is a culture where you will just immediately leave if you have missed the quest, even by mere seconds. I don't know how I managed to forget that the monster spawned here, but anyway. I would like to hit the head while he is not enraged. The head ends up being something to avoid once he is enraged, so... I'd like to get some damage off on it. Oh, very good. A mounting attack has good motion value, so. Zombie had actually committed to paralysis even though there were only going to be two of us, so I'm really glad that we actually got a third person. That's not to knock Zombie's strategy. I don't think paralysis is automatically bad, it's just that paralysis is only as good as the hunters that are in the hunt to take advantage of the paralysis in question. If there's only one damage dealer apart from paralysis, then it's actually not worth it in my opinion. Oh. It is, however, worth it to now go and aim for the face while I've got the opportunity. Sadly, the head does move a little bit. It makes sense that it does. Head is broken, but we're not going to aim for it. Because he is currently enraged, and that becomes a 0 elemental weak point. This is a monster that's very weak to all elements that are not dragon, but the head does become completely immune when enraged. Imagine that the black head sort of absorbs all the element. That's the way I remind myself. It's like a black void that absorbs everything in terms of elemental damage. I was supposed to increase the volume of my speakers, but I never did do that. It's alright, I don't really need the game volume to actually get immersed in the hunt, which is a good thing. I do think I play slightly worse in silence, though. Hello, bread users. You missed the big rant on the Generations Ultimate community. I generally don't bother anymore, but I had a nice rant to summarize my deep disdain for the Generations Ultimate community that was both anecdotal and slightly poignant. Particularly because, you know, it's the death of a community, which occurred a long time ago, to be honest, and also it is to my personal detriment, because I'm trying to fucking play Monster Hunter and have fun, and the community just sucks, so it's a shame. So you can see why I saw value in equipping a loadout that had high mobility for this hunt. This is a monster that moves around quite a bit. I say that because I was initially considering using Charge Blade, but Charge Blade is not all that good for mobility. It's good for fairly stationary damage dealing. Not as stationary as something like a Gunlance, but yeah, for a monster that moves around this much, I would indeed prefer to be able to move around a bit. Did Olari die, or did he just randomly go somewhere else? I think he did die, to be honest. I don't really remember it. No, he did actually die. Okay. Or faint, however you want to say it. Oh. Here we go, let me get... Oh, well, I was going to get a mount attack. I don't anticipate or even seek to mount the monster. But, like I said, a mounting attack has good motion value, so it's worth doing even if you don't get the mount off. Rocket Chicken is an interesting name for this monster, and I like it. The reason why I rolled when I did was because I was getting ready to shield that attack and I just couldn't get the shield out in time. I was like one frame away from being able to do it. Regrettable, to say the least. Whoa. I'm glad that I have an invulnerability period when I'm loading in, because if I didn't, I would have been launched straight back into the area I just arrived from. Well, that was very good. Sword dance opportunity on the face. I'm pressing the buttons to do it. ZL plus A, why is it not working on this controller? Oh, I was pressing ZL plus X. which is certainly not what I was meant to do. What a shame, I missed a good opportunity to deal heavy damage on the face because I was, I don't know, struggling to actually identify the difference between the X and the A button. I thought I'd be able to pull my shield out fast enough, again, but it just didn't happen. Don't know why. I shouldn't have done that. Again, sometimes you think you can evade, but you should have just gone for the shield, and sometimes it's too bloody late. I'm sure I've said it before, but I do love the Valstrak's tail. Helix tail. Oh, we've got a paralysis. I think he is enraged, so I'm not going to aim for the head. I'll just go for the back legs. Please hit him with that. Did I hit him with that? It's not the end of the world if I didn't, but... Oh, you can't chain guard, unfortunately, with a sword and shield. No. That's going to be attacking a whole lot of fresh air. I'm happy with this hunt though, it feels substantial. So many times I fight this monster and it's just over before anything resembling a hunt has taken place, but this has actually felt fun, somewhat challenging, and worth my while. It has been disappointing to see Elder Dragons just lose so much of their effectiveness and their intimidation factor. But we all know what caused that and why this has happened. It's not worth lamenting over, you just have to accept it. Because there are a lot of other good things about this generation of Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter has always been a balance of positives and negatives because the imbalance of the game has ensured that there was always going to be a healthy number of negatives to challenge one's perception of the game. But, yeah. Insofar as whether it's good or bad, but... Yeah, it is indeed a shame that Elder Dragons were made so weak here. Nice work, says Zombie. I was just reminded of the conversation that I had with a guy who brought a dragon weapon to Valstrax, and I very, you know, politely explained to him that Valstrax takes no damage from dragon, and yet the weapon that he had brought to the hunt was mostly focused on dragon damage and not much raw damage, and he was like, what did he say again? He said, monsters are weak to dying, I think he said. Is that what he said? Something like that. Something really absurd, and it wasn't the sort of response that would win the argument, but it was definitely the sort of response that would end it. Because, yeah, that's what he said. He said, he's still weak to dying, or something like that. Which, what he means is that I'm dealing damage, and that's what's important. He's going to take damage, and he is going to die, so therefore the elemental weakness isn't relevant. But the thing is, it is relevant because you're playing Monster Hunter. You're not playing some random hack and slash game where these things don't matter. There's more meaning and nuance to the experience of hunting than turning up with a Lao Shan Lung weapon with like 270 true raw and 60 dragon damage against an elder dragon that takes 0 dragon damage. Like, and then you want to try and challenge the validity of my grievance with your fucking whack-ass decision-making. It's just, it's bizarre. Anyway, I'll never forget that. I don't think I did catch that on camera. I'm pretty sure that was while playing in my own time. I'm pretty sure I was playing with a friend, so I regret that I didn't catch that on camera. That would have been a golden one to catch on camera. I just laid into him with my keyboard connected to my Switch, but yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous. Oh, yeah, okay. I'll post. Sorry, I'll post. I just want to do it now because otherwise I'll forget. Olari can like it or lump it, quite frankly. Because I haven't taken my turn. But yeah, I'll actually forget if I don't do it now. Bread users, you can request a weapon type for me to use if you'd like. Whatever you think would be easiest. It's going to be Hyper Devil Joe Zombie. Request a weapon, whatever you think would be most educational or informative. Yeah, use whatever you want, Zombie. But I'm requesting that Bread Yeezers gives me a weapon type to use. Longsword or dual blades. The reason why I would go longsword over dual blades, that is what I'm going to use, is because longsword has verticality. Verticality is very important with Devil Joe because his weak point is his stomach. Now, technically you can attack his legs, which are not a weak point, to then gain access to his stomach by knocking him down. But in my opinion, it's actually better to aim for the stomach more consistently with overhead swings with a longsword, and then actually hit the legs with a longsword using your lower to the ground spirit combo slashes. So you can basically get the best of both worlds. It's a more balanced and effective way to hunt the monster. So if I'm going to choose between longsword or dual blades, I'll go longsword. I'll try to make it more fun by using elemental blunt longsword. The only thing that would make it less fun is the fact that I don't have raw resistance, but whatever, we can make it more challenging, I don't care. We'll use the Alresha sword. There were so many different ways I was going to read that, but then when I actually read each letter in turn, I realized Alresha is how I pronounce that. It's a weird word. Olari has, I'm assuming, failed to understand what I've said. I said, sorry, I'll post. And he apparently doesn't understand what I meant by saying that. So, like I said, he can either like it or lump it, and, you know, he can live with it, or bugger off, but we're doing Hyper Devil Joe. That's the beginning and the end of it. Alright. I'm pretty sure it's in this list. Here we go, Hyper Devil Joe. I just saw it. There we go. Pitched Pinnacle Battle. Olari is changing weapons and seems fairly agreeable. He is Hunter rank 766. He likely isn't desperate to hunt what he was going to hunt. But yeah, I was very responsive to Brett Yeezer's request because no one has ever requested for me to do a specific hunt because they struggled with it before. That's a, you know, in 4 years of live streaming Monster Hunter, no one's ever asked that, so I'm quick to be accommodating, we'll put it that way. Because on a conversational level, I try to be informative. Because it is something to talk about, but if someone can actually benefit from it, then that's very good. See what Olari's doing. Hasn't changed loadout so far, so perhaps he went to the prep area to cry. Now, one thing that would cause me to cry is not eating, so I will do that now. We will do defense large with dragon res small. Perhaps supply... no. Of all of the options that I have, booster is actually the most helpful, so... Alright, off we go. Pitched Pinnacle Battle. Now, when this game came out, and people were coming into G-Rank for the first time, this quest was the one that was most likely to completely team wipe everyone. I really, really struggled to get into a group that could successfully hunt this thing. It was bad. I mean, you'd probably have a 25% success rate, something like that. It wasn't good. It used to make me genuinely angry. But, yeah, it's not like that anymore. Now it's like a 70+% success rate. Maybe 80 to 85. When you throw the paintball, you should aim for the face because it is lowest to the ground. I can't fucking aim it, so do as I say, not as I do. You could also aim for the legs for the paintball, that works too. Obviously, aim for the stomach when it's in front of you. It's important to strike a balance between aiming for the weak point and then also keeping DPS up. Keeping yourself magnetized to a weak point is not going to be worth it when you consider the loss of DPS, unless the weak point in question is extremely weak. And, you know, some people would disagree with that, you know. They would say, no, if you magnetize to a weak point, that's effectively min-maxing and speed-running strategy, and you'll kill the monster faster, and you'll be better off for it. But I think you need to also build up damage elsewhere. I also think it's more fun and more balanced and more realistic to not just fucking attack a single part of the monster. The attack he's doing right now is usually focused on one specific hunter. There's usually two versions of the attack. One is either random and it can target any player at random each time he does his dragon breath, or it can focus on one specific hunter 3 times consecutively, rolling through the initial frames of the tail swing. One thing you'll notice is that I do sort of struggle to keep my spirit gauge up. Not just, well, not keep it up, but rather upgrade it. You could see that I compromised on hitting weak points just so that I could increase its damage. I ran outside of the tremor range there. You just sort of have to taking advantage of the ledge to hit the weak point there as well, keeping in mind the aerial damage is increased motion value. We're getting a turnaround, which means he's either going to do... Oh, actually, he's not enraged, so there was no prospect of Dragon Breath coming. But yeah, you just sort of position yourself such that... Oh, come on. You position yourself such that you're both least likely to be hit immediately by something that he does, and also in a good position to evade if you're given the time to evade. So... I'm using Unhinged Spirit because it gives me something of a guarantee that it'll be easy to actually increase my spirit gauge. The secret, like there is to pretty much anything in Monster Hunter, is learning the movement patterns of the monster. Deviljho is a monster I've been fighting for almost 13 years. And he was one of my favourite monsters in the game that he first appeared in, so I've hunted him more times than almost any other monster, and I could, not literally, but I could almost hunt him with my eyes closed, because he's just, I understand him. He makes sense to me. Everything, I can anticipate what he does. You can sort of get inside his mind. Now, do I play as well as a speedrunner would, or like a really adept and incredibly adroit hunter would? No. For instance, I failed to iframe the face attack, but, you know, I can hunt reasonably well despite being what I consider to be a casual hunter because I've hunted him so much. So, I can tell you what decent strategies are, but the biggest thing... I did actually do it... Oh, that's what it is. You can't actually do a dive while running towards the monster. That's important to keep in mind. You won't be able to Superman dive if you're going towards the monster. I don't know if it's always been that way. I really don't. But it does cause issues sometimes for me. Oh, I was trying to make use of that ledge, but I instead got an overhead swing from Zombie square in the back, and it launched me like a cannon. 40% success rate on a good day, yeah, sure. That's fine. Although getting hit by a sword and shield from the overhead swing is not that common. I will use Critical Juncture, actually. I'll do it on the tail swing here. Oh, are you kidding me? I managed to get it on the roar, but... yeah, I was anticipating a follow-up tail swing, obviously. Now, here we go. You can see how quickly this monster's moving. There's no margin for error. Not only is he attacking extremely quickly, he deals a lot of damage, so... if it's easier, watch and learn instead. Just observe the monster, look for an opportunity. You may even be punished even when you think you've got an opportunity, but it's better than just going in there and pressuring yourself into attacking because you're worried about not keeping up DPS. You know, there's nothing helpful about going in there and just dying. You will be of greater help to your team by not contributing to the death counter. So, just never pressure yourself into hitting the monster because you feel like you're obliged to do so. You're technically obliged to hit the monster, but not constantly. Keep yourself safe, and in standing back and observing the monster, you will actually learn how to fight it better. If you just rush in and attack it aggressively, you'll... maybe for some people you'd learn faster, but then, at least in my opinion, you'd learn slower because you're not watching the monster so much. You're instead just getting aggressively beaten down by it. Like I said, people learn in different ways, but... I'm not sure who the target for this one is. Could be Jason. No, it seems to be Zombie. If it becomes randomized, it's obvious, because Deviljho will change directions very drastically every time he does his Dragon Breath. This is one example. See how each time he does it, he will swing aggressively and... Oh, no. No, perhaps... Oh, no. Yeah, I'd say that was the randomized one. Because I guess it's technically possible that the randomized one can choose the same target more than once. So. Yeah, but there's a certain... There's an erratic nature to the randomized one that does set itself apart from the normal rigid dragon breath. I call it rigid dragon breath because he stands rigid on his hind legs, back straight, and it's actually one of the most intimidating attacks from any monster in the series, in my opinion. It's actually scary to be on the receiving end of it. We have reached Broken Sword, so I will sharpen up. Keep in mind, for anyone who's not keeping up with the loadout, I am keeping to low sharpness because I have the Bludgeoner armor skill. Okay. Unless you have Bludgeoner, it is ill-advised to go to as low as green sharpness in a G-rank game. That's a fact. This guy's using the blade wire or whatever that Hunter Rider's called for the bow. It's quite fun, actually. I just wonder about the damage that it deals. We just cut the tail off. Now, contrary to what that person who was arguing with A-Gaming about, according to A-Gaming, it is helpful to cut tails. It reduces the effective range of the monster. It allows you to position yourself closer to the monster to then take advantage of opportunities sooner, because obviously there is less distance between yourself and the monster, so you know, obviously you can take advantage of that opportunity much faster. It also catches you less often, especially with a monster like Devil Joe where he does these weird pirouettes and he swings his body around. That tail is just a big extension of every attack that he does, almost, so shortening the range of that is helpful. Does that mean that you should aim for the tail specifically? No. But if it's in front of you, don't reposition to then look for something weaker. Attack it without second-guessing yourself as far as the damage you're dealing. Just know that you're contributing to the reduction of the monster's overall effectiveness by aiming for the tail. I just thought that I would let you know Little Crow XXN VTuber, which is actually more time than I would typically like to take to interpret someone's name on Twitch. Took me about 3 seconds to make sense of that one. You're actually not contributing anything of worth, so just thought I'd let you know in case you were unsure. I'm pretty sure that he's gone to that... Is it an underground area? I don't know. I suppose we're going to find out. If he digs, it tells me he's gone over here. It seems that they generally want to capture. The reason why they want to capture is because most people, when they find this monster, they're dealing with multiple deaths in the team. It's safer to go for the capture, so they do that. If that's what they want, then I'm happy to do it. For me, I've always gone for kills with hyper monsters because it feels like it makes more sense to deplete the monster's health fully when it has more health in general. It feels like you're going to be more rewarded if you do that. Erect Dragon Breath, that's another way to describe it. He does stand erect. If he didn't have such a long tail, he may be able to stand even more erect than that. Managed to get a crook, which is nice. But yeah, the moral of the story is observe the monster, learn its movements, and attack when it appears to be safe to do so. And then as you continue to fight the monster, you'll start to take opportunities more aggressively as you build confidence. And that will translate to higher DPS, better positioning of yourself in relation to weak points, and therefore faster dispatching of the monster in question. It helps that we had a good team too. It's not like I soloed the thing. P3, yeah. Probably helps coming from me because Zombie said P3 last time and then I posted, so. Oh. Dread King G4. What's the... Glavenus. I don't mind because, to be honest, it's actually in a proper locale. I don't like the arena confrontations at all. That's why I generally don't like G5 monsters. Well, G5 Deviant specifically. It's because it's an arena confrontation. Those of you who are pretty familiar with me and the things that I tend to complain about, I don't like arena hunts because it doesn't feel as meaningful when you're hunting a monster in a single location. If the monster can move around a little bit in an area, it feels a little better. I don't mind arena hunts for convenience when I'm trying to gather materials, if I want to farm a monster, for example, but if I'm hunting for fun, no. Really not. Let me just consider what would be fun to use. No, I don't really want to use a hammer. I'm not in the mood. I suppose we'll use a bowgun. Let's just use... Here's a loadout that I almost never use anymore. Rapid element. Why am I doing this? Well, water for Glavenus, and thunder for Rathalos. I'm assuming Dread King takes decent thunder damage. I'm not doing too well on the bombs front at the moment. We do have a group of 4 people still, which helps. So I don't really need to worry so much about running out of ammunition. It's worth mentioning. You do get a lot more mileage out of your elemental shots when you're rapid firing them as well. Don't do that. Do I have scatterfish? I bet I don't. I bet I'm out of them. Oh. Ugh. I was hoping that was 2 stacks of scatterfish. It was not. I need to try and multiply them. If these guys could be patient enough to allow me to multiply my scatterfish, that would be lovely. I do rather like it when Guildmom calls me Squiggle. I keep forgetting Guildmarm's name. She has a name that's not Guildmarm. She has an actual human name. And I just don't remember it, unfortunately. Scatterfish, here we go. Do I have a gratuity? No, I do not. Now, my honey should be quite fine. By that, I'm referring to my stash of honey. So, I'm going to not boost my honey. I'll just completely focus on Scatterfish so that I can rest easy. And get a good haul in 10 hunts time. I think this... I'm pretty sure this weapon has Thunder level 2 internal ammo as well, so this is quite good. I actually would rather have extra water ammunition, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring huskberries and wet fish. I don't have many wet fish, interestingly enough. Yeah, this is one of the only loadouts that I ever bothered transmogging. You guys are very used to seeing me having quite ugly armor sets in this game. And yeah, this is not one of those. It's, yeah, back when the game came out, this was the, well, not literally when it came out, but during 2018 I made this armor set. It was my first proper G-rank armor set, and yeah, it's the armor set that you would expect someone who loves elemental damage to make in early G-rank. And it's, yeah, visually attractive. Oh, P1. I've been instructed by Olari to join. I mean, really. P1, what wrong? I suppose that's fair. He's probably wondering why I'm running around in a circle doing nothing. He doesn't realize that I'm recording and actually talking. To him, he's like, why is this guy running around in a circle when he could be readying up for the hunt? Anyway. It is what it is. I'm not going to type to him and say, I'm talking while recording a video. I'll just let him wonder. I'll let him think that I'm weird. Yep, I do have Thunder level 2 internal ammunition. We'll see. I probably will actually engage the Glavenus first because he'll be in area 2 just here. I don't want for us to be splitting into 2 groups. So, yeah, it looks like we're all going to engage the Glavenus first, which is good. Now, I did say that I had rapid fire on my elemental shots. That does not include Thunder level 2. That's just in regard... Oh, whoops, what am I doing? Water, actually. How weird is that? In my mind, I actually flipped the elemental weaknesses of these 2 monsters. For some reason, I thought I needed Thunder for Glavenus. That's really weird. Whatever. That's why I was saying, oh, I feel like I need extra ammunition for water, to be honest. But it is true, because I've got internal ammunition for Thunder, so... yeah, anyway. Unfortunately, Steve, I'm hunting for fun, not really to help people get to G-rank. If you'd like to join one of my rooms... well, actually, no, if you're not G-rank at all, then unfortunately I can't help. But, yeah, if you're struggling to find people to play with, I'm sorry to hear that. But, yeah, this is pretty much just G-rank level play. I'm trying to enjoy the game with all of the loadouts that I have, and I want the hunts to not be over and done with extremely quickly. So I'm hunting at a level that is appropriate, and that's the way it is. If you needed help in G-rank, I'd be happy to help, assuming you were willing to take turns with quests. But yeah, I'm not going to help you get to G-rank. Oh, good flinch. It was quite a dangerous... Oh, this is brilliant. I'll tell you why this is brilliant. This right here is the elemental weak point perfectly presented to me during a paralysis. That could not have been better positioning. Anyway, what I was trying to say was that that was a very... why can't I think of the word I'm trying to use? I was expecting it to come to me the second time around. Whoever attacked the monster and flinched him in that moment was quite confident in their ability to do so. We'll put it that way. I'm sorry, Kelby. That was you, I see. You being zombie. For those who are watching the VOD and cannot read the live chat. Well, that was the second time we've actually flinched this monster out of doing that attack, and it was even more cinematic the second time around. I would say for sure, yeah. I couldn't even finish the sentence. I was going to say, I'd say for sure that this monster will die before I run out of water shots. That was actually quite sad how much of a beatdown that was. I almost feel sorry for this monster. I'm going to move on to port. Like I said, I'm going to really savor that whiskey. So I'll just have port for the rest of the recording. Oh, I didn't even have to leave the area. Yeah. I don't like the fact that I can't carve in 3 ultimates, so... It is refreshing to actually come into a game where I am carving normally. I don't need to carve anything in this game, to be honest. I do it because I'm a hoarder of monster materials. So... yeah, I like to amass materials because it's a way to show how much of the monster I've hunted. So... yeah. One thing I have a lot of respect for is the fact that Dread King Rathalos has flash resistance when in the air. I love that. Very good. I don't know who that is, but they are fucking flash happy. It looks like it's Olara. Jesus, are you from the Freedom Unite community? What's happening? I don't think I've seen someone flash bomb a Rathalos this much outside of the Freedom Unite community. Seriously. I'm not trying to be funny when I say that. Oh my god. You've already seen that flash bombs are ineffective when he's in the air. He resists them, man. And yet you still throw them. That's almost perfect evidence that he's actually a Freedom Unite player, because it's exactly what the Freedom Unite players do. They are given perfect indications of the fact that their strategy isn't working, but they keep doing it. Just stop. For God's sake, stop. There he goes again. Well, that worked, fortunately. Maybe he's learning that there are certain moments in time where it does work, but God. Do we need so many flash bombs in 4th generation is the question. He's throwing another one. It is what it is. He's getting ready for the next one. That's fine. I would be genuinely surprised if he were not a 2nd gen player. Or yeah, definitely a 2nd gen player. The interesting thing about 1st gen players is that they don't abuse flash bombs. They really don't, because it's not it just doesn't feel like it's good, clean hunting, so they don't do it. It's funny. But the second gen players, oh, they are all over that. They eat flash bombs for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, those guys. I'm sorry to hear that you... Bread Users says, unfortunately I do not have flash bomb resistance. Currently having a seizure. Yeah, I can't imagine it's all that nice to see so many flash bombs going off during the recording, but, you know, I can't control this person's behavior. Just close your eyes if you think there's a flash bomb that's going to come. That's my best advice. Oh my god. I'm surprised that this monster survived. After this amount of flash spam. This guy probably has more flash bombs in his inventory, both created when departing and also available to craft in his inventory than I have in my box. Okay? In fact, he has thrown more flash bombs in this one hunt than I have ever thrown on camera while playing this game. And you all know that to be true. Like, it's not even close. I've probably thrown maybe 4 flash bombs, maybe 2 or 3 ever on camera while playing this game. This guy's thrown about 10, probably more than 10. I'd say he's approaching 15. I think the maximum is 16, because you can carry 6 flash bombs, and then you can obviously carry 10 bomb material and 10 flash bugs, so... Well, Zombie Virus, if you've never played Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, you can now pretend like you have, because that is the Freedom Unite Rathalos experience. Fighting Dread King in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. I never would have expected it, but yeah, that's literally the Freedom Unite experience. Ugh. What you just witnessed is precisely why they created diminishing returns when throwing a flash bomb. This is why, starting in Monster Hunter Tri, monsters became more resistant to flash bombs the more you threw them. But the thing is, you can still abuse them. It's just that, imagine that every time you threw the flash bomb, the monster would be stuck in place for like 10 seconds, and it would be the same every single time. A similar experience to what you would have gotten in Freedom Unite, but in Freedom Unite, the monster would have been even more helpless than this one. So, it's very sad. This guy is such a second gen player. I've never seen anything like it in the 4th generation community. Never. I never saw behavior like that in the 3rd gen community. Back when 2nd gen was pretty new still. Like back when Tri was new, people coming from 2nd gen into Tri were not playing like that. They just weren't. They saw that flash bombs weren't as effective and they were like, okay, fine, I'll hunt the monster properly. This guy's like, nah, fuck it. Unless this monster is flashed, I'm doing something wrong. That's his strategy. Whatever. Playerful. If this guy needs to be informed as to whether or not he can post. I actually can't believe what I just saw. I don't know if it's going to continue. Oh, Dread King EX. Hold on, was that... Did I just... No, okay, so Olari was the person who posted the last time. This guy just happens to also want to do Dread King, and it's Dread King EX. Okay. Not a terrible EX hunt, to be honest. Definitely one that's doable. Oh yeah, I was going to check to see how many flash bombs I had in my box. Yeah, that guy threw more flash bombs in that hunt than I have in my box. Very funny. Hello, Ethan. How are you going? Would you like to come into the live stream on voice chat? Depends if you're on your computer. If you're not, then you don't have to bother. But I'm sort of in the mood. Being in the mood essentially means like I'm willing to fuck around with audio levels to allow you to sound right. Sometimes I just can't be bothered, but I can be bothered today. I keep expecting to have antidotes in my inventory, but I just don't. Quite pleasingly, I do have my earphones on hand, so... Ethan, if you want to come into the voice chat, you're welcome to. Because I don't have to actually get up and find my earphones to make that work. It's very convenient. Dread King EX. Oh, you're on your way to a doctor's appointment. Very well. I suppose that's fair. I suppose that's fair. Fire resistance and defender high, I think, is in order. Hold on. I'm going to check to see if Dragon or Thunder is better against Dread King. I'm going to assume it's Thunder, but I'd better check. Because I obviously do have a Dragon option for Insect Glaive. Technically I had a Dragon option for Light Bowgun as well, but I wasn't really feeling it. Because I did indeed want to use water damage as well as thunder in that previous quest. Okay. Dread King. He is more weak to dragon, by the looks of it. So I will bring the Black Fatalis. Insect Glaive. Zombie informed me of the fact of the matter about the same time I worked it out for myself. But thanks for looking out for me. Every time I see this empty triple slot, I just feel like it's such a waste. But I can literally not do anything with it. I have 18 points of sharpness. I mean, I don't know why. Or 18 points of handicraft. How do I have that much? That's ridiculous. But yeah, this is a loadout that really can't improve beyond this point. It's very good. But yeah. Alrighty. I am planning on doing a Doomlink update video soon, just to discuss the state of the channel. And, well, not really the state of the channel, like it's in any particular state. I just want to talk about what I want to do. I've been having issues. I don't really know if I want to go into it yet. I'd rather just have the first time I explain it be in that video, because then I'm going to be a little more inclined to do it. But yeah, to really simplify it, to nutshell it for you, I would like to focus, well, not focus on, but at least dedicate more time to playing other video games on my channel. Because, and I know how it is, there's always that concern that you're going to somehow lose your audience by focusing on other games, but I've always played other games. I'll always play this game, like not literally this game, but I'll always play Monster Hunter. But I just want to dedicate a bit more time to playing other video games on this channel because I feel like I am getting a little bit burnt out on recording Monster Hunter. It's not as enjoyable as it used to be. I do still get joy out of it, otherwise I wouldn't do it. I swear to you I wouldn't do it if it were actually unpleasant, but yeah, I just would like to play other games more frequently than I am playing them these days, so I do hope to do that soon. Because if I only have the time to record, like, let's say twice a week, I'm more inclined to do Monster Hunter because that's where the audience is and I don't want to lose the audience that I have for Monster Hunter. So, it's hard. Oh, got my white. You guys don't get to see me use Insect Glaive very much, do you? You'd see a bit more of it if I could fucking record 4 Ultimate without it shooting itself. Because obviously Insect Glaive is very good in that game. Some people probably refuse to use it, but I don't mind using it. In 4 Ultimate, that is to say. I was a bit disoriented by that geyser that was exploding in my face while the monster was doing that attack. I can't believe he just summoned 3 of those explosions. Did he summon 3 of them? Okay, they don't explode in the same way as the last one, but still, that was pretty bad. Zombie is our first death. Fortunately, we did have someone activate whatever it's called. Insurance. I can't believe this fucking thing isn't ready to be mounted yet. I'm going to wait until my next colours. I should be trying to work towards Extract Hunter rather than going for the mount right now. In fact, that would have been the best thing to do in the first instance. Try to build up Extract Hunter so that I don't have to manually get my colours again. Not only is Extract Hunter better in the sense that you don't have to manually get your colours from specific parts of the monster, it lasts longer too once it's in effect. So, yeah, it's very important to try and build that up in this game where the option exists to use it. I was tempted to not use Extract Hunter at all because when I first saw it I just thought, this completely trivializes the Insect Glaive, but you know, there is a chance that you can fuck it up. If you use Extract Hunter and it just doesn't make contact with the monster properly, or at all, it can be a problem. Oh, fucking hell. There we go. Hello? I was killed by a thing that I didn't even realize was there. That wasn't like me failing to evade it. I didn't even know there was something there that was about to explode. I saw that the monster... Okay, this is why I didn't see it. I was focused on getting my colours for my Insect Glaive, and then I saw the monster was paralyzed, and I then went to attack the monster while I was paralyzed, and then I saw an explosion and I fucking died. That's basically what happened. Ugh. No, Ethan, we've been over this, and you've been told this. Charge Blade isn't necessarily broken in 4. It was heavily nerfed in the other games. I mean, I don't think Charge Blade is that much stronger in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate versus Monster Hunter World. It was just exceptionally weak in this game because it was actually glitched. I wouldn't say it was nerfed even, they glitched it out. You can't actually use the SAED in any meaningful sort of way. But anyway. Because basically it only deals 1 file's worth of damage, irrespective of the number of files you have. So, Yeah, I don't think it's that overpowered. Insect Glaive was a much bigger issue in 4. I'm gonna smack Jason Way in his stupid head. If he doesn't, well, I'm gonna smack him up the head, whatever you would say, I don't care. He's pissing me off. I haven't even managed to get Extract Hunter charged up yet, which means that I've barely hit this fucking monster. I've been spending most of my goddamn time trying to get my colors, and then when I finally got them the second time, I just died because I was distracted by doing that. Whatever. Let's try and get orange. Having a real hard time getting orange right now. And zombies dead. I don't think this is worthwhile. We can't fucking succeed here. How are we going to succeed? We should have already failed. To start with. Anyway. And there we go. There's our last feint. Fine. The failure was fairly balanced across the team. There was only one guy who didn't die. Out of 4 people. I don't think my death was all that fair, but at the end of the day, part of the Dread King hunt is that he does drop down effectively ticking time bombs, and if you're not aware of them, then that's a problem. That's something that you have to account for when hunting the monster, and I wasn't accounting for that, so I was punished. I think the amount of damage it fucking dealt to me was unfair. For my rousing on Jason Way, he never died at any point, so he actually didn't contribute to the failure, and yet it was his quest, so he's probably feeling quite cheated at this point. I get that, but... I'd rather not do that quest again. Is it fair to skip him if we fail his quest? Probably not, so... Zombie, I'm going to move on to a different room. You can follow me if you'd like to. I'm probably only going to do 1 or 2 more hunts. Whoa. We're the only fucking HR13 room available at the moment. There's like no one playing the game. Okay, I'll change it to 9. The fuck? Towel and arrow. Towel and sci-fi. Yeah, I suppose it was EX. If it's an explosion like that coming from Dread King, if it's EX, then I suppose it's fair that it killed me in one hit. It's just that I had... So I've got 881 defense, Defender high, Fire res plus 10, and it's still one-shot me. I mean, that's, in my opinion, unfair, but I guess the idea of EX is to essentially eliminate margin for error. Play well or go home. And, yeah. It is what it is. Oh, it's Jason Way again. He's probably like, did you really just close that room just to join here? Yeah, I did. I didn't want to face you. I didn't want to choose a quest that wasn't yours. Even though you were willing to do something else when we had failed your hunt. So I would have sooner closed the room. And that's what I did. And here we are together again. Yeah, Sword and Shield against Dread King is not good. So... Yeah, and probably a ranged weapon, ideally. I mean, Insect Glaive works okay as well, but a ranged weapon is definitely going to be better than a sword and shield. Anything with a bit more reach than a sword and shield is going to be an improvement. Crimson Fatalis. Dual blades. How about blunt water dual blades? What would those even be? Blunt water. Oh, it's the Celtis dual blades, that's right. I remember these motherfuckers. Spirit Twists. Yeah. These are good fun. I don't get to pull them out all that often. Drill hands. Some would say that they are Gurren Lagann arms. Doriru. Spider. But, yeah. I don't know why I'm making reference to that show. I didn't even like that show. Did he just say that? Yeah, I never liked that show. I refused to watch it when it aired, and when I finally did watch it, I generally regretted having done so. Not my thing. Sorry. And Yoko is a bimbo who can just go and die. I think that was her name, wasn't it? Yeah, she was like a nothing character. I didn't like her at all. She was a pair of tits. But Doomlink is... I need to pierce the asshole. That's apparently what I'm doing with these dual blades, yeah. If there is an asshole to pierce, this will do a good job of doing that. Alright. We're doing a charging attack already, Fatalis. Very well. Fatalis and I go way back. We're good buddies. I don't know if I like him in this game, but I was so used to fighting the really, really glowy one back in 4 Ultimate that I just didn't really feel like I had my all crimson. And here's my old crimson. I say this all in jest. I fucking hate Crimson Fatalis. I think he's one of the most insufferable monsters of 1st and 2nd gen. He's definitely in the top 3 most annoying. He's likely the most annoying, to be honest. The only thing that would be more annoying than Crimson Fatalis would be a 1st gen Yang Garuga. Or a 1st gen Kirin at G rank level. Seriously. Like, that's the level we're looking at. That's the degree of insufferable monster design that we speak of. I was playing Monster Hunter Portable and on camera and actually hunted a Yangaruga. You guys have had the privilege of seeing it, except none of you have seen it, I don't think. But yeah, I definitely recorded Monster Hunter Portable, in other words, the Japanese version of Monster Hunter Freedom. And we were hunting 1st gen Garuga, I remember that. I had a lovely team though. Those guys are so good. The dream team for playing 1st gen, really. I can't quite remember who it was now, but it was a good team. Real good one. I think it was like myself, Yuli, Hellscythe, and sorry, Hellhound, not Hellscythe. Hellscythe's a different 1st gen hunter. Whoa, double kill. It was like myself, Yuli, Hellhound, and I think Corey. So, yeah, that's the fucking dream team right there. Couldn't believe it. Frothing at the mouth, mate. In the sense that, not just for the fact that I was hunting with them, but for the fact that I was able to hunt with them while having a recording set up. That was a happy day. because it wasn't like difficult to hunt with them in my own time, but to have a recording set up is... Well, Vel Ray has officially decided to throw in the towel, and I don't blame him for that. Steve says, if help, me give you fallow. Well, my understanding of the word fallow is that it means that it's something that's been left to rot, effectively. Something that's been abandoned. So you're going to give me, like, I don't know, something negative in return for helping you. Okay. Now, if you mean fellow to mean fellowship, if you mean if you help me, I give you fellowship, then that's great. But you're not even G rank, man. I can't... I'm not going to do that. You've sat here watching my live stream to continue to ask me to help you get to G rank. It's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to hunt in G rank, which is my level. That's my loadout. Jason and I are sitting here rather dumbfounded. We no longer have a room to hunt in because these people, despite wanting to do Crimson Fatalis, apparently can't do Crimson Fatalis, so there we go. Join my lobby and help me kill like this. No, I think he means fellowship, Ethan. Yeah. Oh well, apparently I have Kami's fellowship, that's very nice. Fachtna. That's a fucking name. Fachtna. Fachtna. It's a very elegant way of telling someone to fuck off in some kind of language. That's the way I view that. Fachtna. If that was the name that's on your birth certificate, I'm sorry for making fun of it, but... Fachtna. If it were German, it would be actually funny, because it would say something like Fartner. I don't know. German's a funny language. For those of you who are uninitiated, and perhaps haven't exposed yourself to the German language, oh my god, it's a funny language. It is the funniest language. Assuming it can be categorized as a romance language, oh my god. I think it can be. It's a romance language, isn't it? I'm not educated in linguistics, sorry. But, you know, I imagine languages existing in Europe. Let's just put it that way. Among the European languages, oh my god, it is the funniest. It's... Some of the words that exist are just... When I was younger, I used to be in stitches. Because, you know, I used to listen to a lot of German heavy metal bands and growing up, and you became exposed to it. And I mean bands where it was all in German, and some of the fucking words that you would see in the lyrics and in... And also hunting in Monster Hunter Tri, you know, with the German players. They were great hunters, but god, you'd watch some of their conversations, or rather read them, and some of the words that would come up, you'd go, what? And it inspired me to use Google Translate at the time, which was... I'm not going to say it was in its infancy in 2010, but it wasn't as good as it was today. Or it wasn't as good then as it is today. And not that that's particularly relevant, but you would just translate basic words and they would be quite funny. I remember that very clearly. Speaking of funny names, Duck Fu has entered the chat. Words to live by from Ethan in the chat. Funkner says, hi? He is uncertain if he at this time seeks to greet me. Hi? Where's my exclamation mark? Here it is. thanks for the compliment. We've got a full room. We're going to be doing Glavenus again. Do I want to do Glavenus? No. Do I have much of a choice in the matter? No. There is always a choice, technically. There is always another option. But would it be reasonable to do something different? No. It wouldn't be. That would require me to leave the room and then find something else, and there might not be a better room, and then technically I could even hunt offline, but that wouldn't be as fun. So, effectively, no, I don't have a choice. Let's do some Glavenus. I should work in radio. A bit late for that. My interests are too niche to work in radio. I mean, unless I'd like to, I mean, I'd never do it, but I'd love to host an obscure classical radio station that plays classical music and, you know, chime in between songs. Or pieces, as you would refer to them, I suppose. But, yeah, we're past the era of radio being relevant, I think, so... Not that I seek to be relevant, but I think radio's time has come. Or rather, it's past, and its time has not come. It has passed, is what I meant. And, come and gone. There you go. So no, I don't think radio's the future. I wouldn't mind doing a podcast of some kind, but yeah. Steve, don't take what Kirbythan's saying as mean-spirited. He's genuinely trying to help you. He is giving you constructive advice. Instead of sitting in a live stream where I have already told you that I can't help you, and then continuing to ask for help, it is actually better for you to just get in there and interact with the community. Doesn't matter how shit it is, and it is shit, I can assure you. Try to interact with it, and try to increase your hunter rank, become a better hunter, all of that. Follow his advice. He's been playing Monster Hunter for longer than you've probably been alive. So, take it. Take his advice. For God's sake. Yeah, he's not trying to, like, pick on you. So, my loadout here is Blunt Lance, and I'm, like, about to get hit in a most foolish way. You can see that I attempted to back up through that. Valiant, but pathetic as well. Let's recalibrate. I just recalibrated. Don't know if that was helpful or not, but I allege that calibration has taken place, and now we're going to try and hunt slightly less retardedly. A podcast called Ethan on Doomsday. That's that'd be interesting. No, Ethan and I definitely need to do a podcast of some kind. We've always been meaning to. I think we've been talking about it for years. So. We tend to have interesting conversations about things. Basically, Ethan and I will get together, have a chat for a while, and then at the closing of whatever discussion that has taken place, he'll go, "I wish we were recording that!" And, yeah. I suppose in a sense I agree, but the thing is, when you do start recording something, it loses a certain... It's not that it becomes less genuine or less authentic when the people talking know they're being recorded, but there is a certain element of genuine emotion and sentiment that is lost. It becomes more of a... There is an element of performance to it when you know that you are being recorded. That's what I'm trying to get across. And so, you know, it would never be as good if we were to literally record it and then know that we're recording it. So, yeah. But it's not to dismiss the idea. I think it's a fine idea. It's just that our schedules align about as well as the sun and the moon align. Occasionally, but not often. I have a series of hunter arts to make use of here. Let's use Enraged Guard. It's better to at least get something out of it. It's red, maybe that means it's good. Does that mean it's good? I don't know. I actually don't know the color coding that would indicate the amount of damage you're dealing with Enraged Guard, but I'm going to assume red is good. I don't know how an attack like that would result in good damage through Enraged Guard. Presumably, the amount of effectiveness you'd get out of Enraged Guard would be proportional to the amount of... or the damage that you'd expect to have dealt by the monster comparative to all the other attacks it could deal. So the most damaging attack that a Glavenus could deal, for instance, would be your best sort of attack for Enraged Guard, whereas something rather basic like a bite attack, such as what actually was used to activate my Enraged Guard, probably wouldn't be quite so effective, and yet I have a red lance right now, which I deem to be, based on no real hard evidence, the most effective damage with Enraged Guard. So, I don't know. I suppose there needs to be a re-evaluation of facts. Well, there are no facts at play here. I've already said that it was an impression that is likely misguided. I don't think it's a matter of procrastination. I've never really agreed to do it. None of us have agreed, like, neither of us have agreed to do it, Ethan. I mean, I know that you're into it, but I don't know if it's something I'd like to do. There's a lot that goes into a podcast. We can't just sit there and chat. Anyway. I suppose we don't have to call it a podcast. That might be a little too constrictive. We definitely need to do more together, though. We don't do enough together. I think there are creative relationships that exist in the world where they're quite strong and they naturally work with little effort. And I think when Ethan and I work together in a creative sense, it works very well. I think it's because of our personalities. They sort of complement one another. Well, it's not my quest, so I'm not going to decide whether we kill it or capture it. Do I have a question to ask? No, I don't. Oh! Quest host is getting in there. Fakhtna actually uses the accented U to say fuck without the censor, just as I do. Which is nice. I never did use corkscrew jab in the end, which is sort of sad. Could have used it for the wake up though, and fucking killed the monster actually. Ethan, we probably should consider something that we could do together. Where you and I chat. I think it would be good. Anyway. And not something that would be average either, something that would be quite good. Because we could achieve that. I'll have a touch more whiskey once I've finished this. I'll do maybe 1 or 2 more hunts. It's 1:11 AM. Not very late. The time of day doesn't particularly concern me. Alright, so this is Fucked's room. Fucked. Nuz room. Yeah. I may actually combine for some more mega potions. I have the honey to do it. Let's take ourselves to 30. Which gives us 222. That's a good number. It's a very good number. This is Fucked's room, where Fucked posts whatever the hell Fucked wants, but Doomlink doesn't like that. E-God. Turns no EX from Alex. Don't mention EX, because people will get deviants on the mind. Wind doing Athelcar with an HR minimum of 100. Is there a particular reason why it needs to be 100? It's Athelcar. The people most likely to hunt Athelcar are between the hunter ranks of 30 and 100, and you've set 100 as the minimum, you asshole. Why do you do this thing? You're hunter rank 100. Are you that desperate for assistance? At a high level that you need to do that? Why? Anyway. Again, we discussed that earlier on in the live stream, where there are actually people out there, not so much anymore, it was certainly common in the community when the game first came out, where people would actually set a minimum hunter rank that was above their hunter rank so that they could ensure that the only people that they would hunt with would be stronger than they are. And it was just ridiculous. Like, there was a fair chance that people would naturally join that were stronger than they were anyway. But they actually made it so that people who happened to have a lower hunter rank than them could not join. Would not even appear in their list. So, yeah. Pretty nasty stuff. I'm not sure what you're up to. Hopefully improving this particularly horrendous loadout. Doomlink, he's got attack up small. It's good enough. He's huntering 141. My hope is that he's currently in the process of building an armor set, and this is not actually his loadout. Which is actually rather likely. I shouldn't jump to conclusions, even though there are some people who have pretty out there loadouts in this game. It probably is an armor set in progress. Okay. What shall grace the quest board today? A bone to pick. Okay. He is looking to make the full skeletal armor set. Now, I made the full skeletal armor set not for its skills, but rather for its appearance. I used it for transmog, specifically, quite interestingly, now this is an interesting coincidence, he has full Atal Car, and is now trying to make the full skeletal armor set. Interestingly, my full Atal Car set is transmogged with the full skeletal set. For the appearance of it. I've actually mixed and matched high rank pieces for this. You can see, for instance, we've got the Skull R for that. So that's an interesting little coincidence that I thought I would draw your attention to. But I have a feeling he's not doing that for the appearance of it. I think he actually wants the armor skills. Is he misguided in his endeavor? Yes. Because the skills are not worth it. But anyway. Let's use a hunting horn. Why is Doomlink using a hunting horn? Well, the answer is quite simple. I cannot actually imagine any other loadout that would allow me to enjoy this hunt. A guild card has arrived from a person whose name I cannot read. Please do not depart without me. I understand that these people are all ready to go quite quickly, but please don't leave without me. I'm still here. And getting ready myself. I've said this before, but even though I am Hunter rank 999, you better believe people depart without me. Because you cannot underestimate the dominating effect that acute impatience has on people who suffer from it. Something, you know, the allure of a Hunter rank 999 hunter is completely and fulsomely mitigated by the sort of impatience that you see in this community. It almost doesn't mean anything. It's like, okay, he's Hunter rank 999, but I'm ready to go now. Bye! I've been readying up for the quest, or rather, getting myself ready for the quest for 2 minutes, and you're already going to leave me behind. That's alright. It's not, actually. It's not alright at all, but I'm doing my best to get used to it. Lafroig. Lafroig is... Lafroig? Lafroig. Lafroig. Yeah. That will do. That will definitely do. I've had enough today. I want to savour this whiskey. I don't want to go through too much of it. It's something to be enjoyed over a long period of time. I've explained it. I just don't have nice whiskey these days. So, cheers. Alright, let's familiarise ourselves with the songs and the note sequences for the songs in question. Obviously the songs in question being the ones that can be played with the horn. Alright. We will open with attack, that is the priority. Oh, actually, it turns out that red is the X plus A. Was not expecting that. Good time to get attack up and running. And then we've got the reverse for defense. Did I read that wrong? I certainly did. I know better than to fuck that up. Double blue is always defense. Always. I know that from Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. Oh, hold on, stop it. You're playing nothing. Give it a rest. I'm playing self-improvement for the mobility. but I may as well play for ESP. Play for Mind's Eye. It's not second gen, Doomlink. Every time I turn blue when hunting this monster, some fucking asshole sings the song. And, you know, I was helping a friend of mine hunt this monster, and he had never played Monster Hunter before. This was his first Monster Hunter game. And as soon as he turned blue, he sung the song, and I was so crushingly disappointed in him that I didn't even comment on it. I just ignored it. And, yeah. Anyway. Thank you for that. I feel almost bad for the guy trying to mine, but I don't know if it's worth doing. I don't know if you should mine. If you're really in need of material... Oh, he's attacking me because I was preventing him from mining. It wasn't just me. I wasn't the one upswinging people, okay? Don't take your bloody anger out on me. I've said this time and time again. I don't find the Nikakos hunt to be all that interesting. The most interesting aspect of the hunt is that you start off by hunting him as a rappel quest, where you only see the tentacles, which seem like the two heads of the monster. It's like a twin-headed monster. Very interesting. Never seen anything like it in Monster Hunter. You know, a monster with two heads. Very cool. But then you actually, in late high rank, I think, get a proper hunt, where you're expected to kill the monster. And at that point, the hunt is allowed to progress to the point where you see the true nature of the monster. It's more of a crustacean of sorts that was partially burrowed under the ground, and then you can see his face. And the effect that it has is that you go from having a certain impression of how the monster is. You think you know what you're fighting, and then all of a sudden, the true form of the monster is revealed, and then you have to fight it while effectively interpreting it as a different monster to what you were fighting the last time you were doing that in low rank. And it's meaningful, it's fun, and it's interesting. But once you get over that, there's not much there to enjoy. I don't find this to be a very fun fight. It's alright. A fair comparison would be Nikakos versus Yamatsukami, because apparently Nikakos is a relative of Yamatsukami. How does this hunt compare to Yamatsukami? It's considerably better. Yama was terrible. For a late game hunt, he was not fun. Very cool, admittedly, but not a good hunt at all. Very monotonous, very unexciting. I'm not saying this is exceptionally riveting, but it's definitely better than the Yamatsukami hunt, so... Yeah. In other words, I definitely do value the experience of thinking you're hunting a monster with two heads, and then it turns out the two heads are actually just tentacles of the main monster. That's very cool. I like that. But as far as the experience of hunting the monster once you know what it is, I really don't enjoy it. In case anyone wanted to know, I've been hunting like absolute shit, just irredeemably terrible hunting on my part. And I'll do what I can to improve. This will be my last hunt because hunting in Akakos will essentially drain whatever energy I had left. It will drain me to the bone. Oh, good flinch. So as long as you don't evade, I think, you don't actually suffer from bone blight. Here we go, we've got the blowhole. This is a good Sonic Smash opportunity, actually. Sonic Smash, and I have no real evidence to base what I'm about to say on, but it does pretty good damage. The best evidence I can give you is that it seems to flinch monsters very often. If I'm hunting a monster and I do a Sonic Smash, that final hit always fucking flinches the monster, so... It seems to be damaging. I don't know much about Hunter Art damage in general. In respect of specific Hunter Arts, I just don't know. I will actually get ready to... Oh, hold on. Messed that up again. Getting ready to top up my attack song. There we go. That resets the timer. As of portable third. Before then it wouldn't actually reset the timer. It's a convenient thing. I think I actually did an overhead flinch of that. May not have been me. Felt like it was. Until someone proves otherwise, I'm going to assume it was me. I'm also going to assume that was me. I'm doing all the heavy lifting in this hunt by the looks of it, haha. I'm using the advance forward attack to actually aim it into the weak point. I don't know if anything either side of the weak point is actually considered to be part of it, but just in case it's not, I'm trying to direct the attack into the little crevice there. Nope. We're about to have a laser, I think. Which bodes well for the hunt, because it means that we are getting close to the end. The laser beams are usually a reflection of damage dealt, rather than time passed, I think. Could be wrong. Oh dear. You can see I did my level best to avoid that. I can't be accused of complacency. Maybe I can be, but not in that instance. Alright, we're about to get our laser. I really did think we were about to get our laser, but we didn't. Let me get my Sonic Smash out, and then hopefully I don't regret that. Because I do think we're going to get our laser very shortly. Come on. Here we go. Get out of the way, man. Jesus. Alright, if it's coming this way, I'm gonna... Yep, Firecast. Oh, shit. We just failed the hunt. I can't believe it. We had a team wipe from a laser beam that seemingly the team wasn't prepared for. I knew it was coming. I even went in there. You know what? Admittedly, it did take longer to come out than it should have. But that should have caused the team to be more on edge, not to become that fucking incapable of dealing with it when it came out. Like, how could you be so incapable of dealing with it? It's a beam that's like going that way, and it slowly moves this way. I mean, you can... Instead of chancing it by diving through it, I thought, you know what? Let's play it safe. We've already had 2 deaths. I'm going to use a Farcaster. I used my Farcaster, and then we got another death. It was extraordinary. I mean, what a waste of time. We almost finished the hunt, and we failed. Seriously. Anyway, that was tremendously disappointing. I do thank you all for watching. That's going to be the conclusion of the live stream. I will see you all the next time I'm recording Monster Hunter or anything else that you would like to see me do. I'm probably not going to do as much Monster Hunter these days. I'd like to do 1 recording a week, but if it ends up being 1 recording a fortnight, forgive me. I want to spend some time on other games as well. Goodbye for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. So long.